The early start was at the Glenelg Oval this week, where the under-18 match featured a female cast with Stephanie Morris and Nadia DeBellis once again controlling proceedings. The girls are umpiring more and more games this season, and from all accounts, they're doing a great job. The Eagles would also need to do a great job if they were going to overcome the reigning premiers. Despite suffering their first loss for the season last weekend at the hands of the Double Blues, Glenelg are a formidable force in the under-18 competition, and in round 9 they were out to make sure that their round 8 loss was nothing more than a speed bump on their highway to another premiership. With some of the big guns out to either college football or the under-18 national championships, it was up to players like Nathan Stark to step up and show that this Tigers squad really is a team brimming with talent. Nathan's strength up front resulting in 4 goals for the match. Nathan's no stranger to winning. He was part of the under-16 state team that won the national championships last year. Nathan scored against Vic Country at the Blacktown Oval on that occasion. 4 goals today, very nice. Best on ground for Glenelg was Jonathan Wilson, and there was little wonder why. His solid 14 kicks and 13 handballs shoring up the backlines and bringing his team from defence to attack on a number of occasions last Saturday. For the Eagles, James Batty led the possession count with 29 disposals and 3 marks, but his 1 goal in the final minute of the match was more of a consolation prize than anything else. By then the damage had been well and truly done. The Eagles could only hold the Tiger machine for 1 quarter. After that, it was a smooth drive for the ladder leaders. At the top, they remain after a convincing 74-point win over the Eagles. Down at the other end of the table, the Redlegs and the Bloods were battling for 7th spot, and a win for either side would claim it. Norwood hadn't had a win since the Anzac Day weekend when they beat the struggling Bulldogs. The West boys, on the other hand, were still on a high after beating Shane Grimm's Eagles at the Woodville Oval just a week earlier. So if you do the maths, the Bloods had to be the favourite to win this game. But the numbers didn't add up for Westies. They certainly didn't add up on the scoreboard, because after 1 quarter they were 4 goals down, and by half-time they could well have been a dozen goals down but for some average kicking in front of goal by the Redlegs forwards. Norwood was 4 goals 12 at half-time, and coach David Odie must have had some strong words to say at the break, because they kicked a far more respectable 5 goals 3 in the second half. Leading the assault was 17-year-old Aaron Lucken from the Athelston Football Club. Aaron won't be with the Redlegs for tonight's Bulldogs clash, as he's over at the Under-18 National Championships playing for South Australia. But he was certainly at the parade last week. 3 goals from 10 kicks and no behinds. No scorn from the coach for Aaron, just praise. And best on ground for the home side, no prizes for guessing that. For the 2nd week in a row, and in just his 2nd game at this level, James Aish was voted best on ground. Cousin to Joel and Jesse, yep, there's lots of J's in the Aish family tree, James contributed 28 disposals at the parade, 13 kicks and 15 handballs, and he was pretty good in the air too with 8 marks, 2 out of 2 for James. Westies relied heavily upon the talents of Michael Manuzzo, the in-form player against the Eagles last week. Michael was rewarded with an on-ball role this week, and he relished the opportunity. 26 disposals, 2 goals and a well-earned rest this week. Westies have the bye today. So a good win for Norwood. They only won 7th place, but hey, it's better than 8th. Winners by 25 points over Westies. In any other season, this fixture might have been labelled the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers, such has been the regress of these clubs in recent years. But in 2011, the Bulldogs find themselves ready to pounce just outside the 5, and the Roosters are sitting expectantly in 3rd position on the ladder. Certainly for the Roosters, it's a season of success so far. And the Roosters' good form was carried into the first quarter like a fully loaded gun, and with the safety off, they proceeded to shoot at will. Goals to Jonathan Birkin, Zach Makins, Stuart Blair and Matthew Schmidt received no reply from Central District. The Bulldogs were somewhat shell-shocked by the onslaught and scored just 4 points for the quarter. Central matched North goal for the remaining 3 quarters of this game, but those 4 first-quarter goals would end up being the difference between the 2 sides at the end. Best on ground for North from South Australia's Mid-North was Kyle Renshaw. In just his 2nd match for North Adelaide this year, Kyle controlled the ruck contest using his height to great advantage. At 196 centimetres, he's tough to beat, but the Bulldogs' Cooper Stoll gave it his best shot. Cooper has been one of the Dogs' most improved youngsters in the past 2 years. He met his match today. The final score, Renshaw 26, Stoll 19. It wasn't until halfway through the second quarter that Michael McMahon found the uprights, but he soon made up for lost time, booting another 4 goals to secure his spot at the top of the leading goal scorers table. Well, secure might not be the right term. Perhaps welded might be more appropriate. Michael is 14 goals ahead of his nearest rival, Jordan Murdoch from the Bays. Central District fans were given some hope when the visitors actually won the third quarter, but that hope soon evaporated when goals to Stuart Blair and the appropriately named Maverick Daniel, this is just his second goal ever for North, sealed the win for the Roosters. In the end, it was North by 20 points over Central District. And so we move on down to the Noarlunga Oval, where the Magpies flew in for a visit. The Panthers, hungry for another win after their round 6 surprise victory over West, probably wished the Magpies had stayed at home. Last week, the Panthers went down by a Nelson to Central District, 111 points. They couldn't lose by over 100 points 2 weeks in a row. Could they? Could they? Well, yes, they could. 17 goals the margin in this game. South's round 6 win looking more like an aberration every week. This was a team that was hopelessly outclassed in every quarter, none more so than in the third quarter, which saw Port outscore the Panthers 9 goals to 1. So South were bad, but let's not take anything away from the Magpies' performance. They're not second on the ladder out of sheer luck. It was skill, not luck, that saw Timothy Broomhead bag 7 goals. The 17-year-old from the Port Districts Football Club could do no wrong at Noarlunga. 23 kicks and 11 marks earned him the Maccas Cup MVP nomination for round 9. The Panthers' defence was severely tested by Tim's strength in and around the goal square. They failed that test big time. Leading the disposals count and best on ground votes was Scott Burnett. Sound a little familiar? Yep, the 2010 Best and Fairest winner for Port won the BOG tag last week too. From the Salisbury West Football Club, Scott is certainly making an impression in the West. He's got 5 goals for the season too. Scott is across at Alberton right now playing against Sturt, best on ground for 3 weeks running. Well, we'll find out next week. So best on ground at Noarlunga Oval was Port Adelaide by a long way, by 102 points to be precise. South still locked to the bottom of the under-18 ladder after 9 rounds of competition.